Townships across South Africa are believed to hold billions of rand in spending power that remains largely untapped and misunderstood. And we're going to spend the next couple of minutes understanding just what it takes to run a business in the township as well as build a market there. And we do have Bheki Twala with us for that conversation, who is the founder and president of the Township Economy Commission. Thank you so much once again, Bheki, for joining us. Now, this is really to just give us that context of the township economy. Now, when I was doing a little bit of research, the township economy was one of those that in apartheid area was excluded from the main South African economy. Over the years, talk us through how the characteristics of the township economy has evolved.
No, thank you very much, Sister Wazo. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. We really appreciate the opportunity of having us. Yes, when you talk about township economy, it's a very interesting subject. What is important more than anything, we need to understand what is township economy and who is township economy. We can't just talk about township economy not going back where the initial stages of the township economy. As you're touching, township economy is even it was there even before the apartheid regime. I remember with the with our grannies and our grandfathers, what we're doing here, colleagues, it's something that is in our blood. It's in our system. Township economy has been there even during harsh times, during the apartheid regime, or in all those difficulties. But we say thank you to our grandfathers and our fathers. Thank you to the township, business, pioneers, people like Abu Babu Chabu, Vilagazi, who were there during the difficult times, and then we're having Abu Marina Maponya, Abu Maponya. Now, as we always say, laid that foundation. This is why we always say, township economy, it's us, we are township economy. Yes, we've got so much challenges, but what is nice about it, we're getting things organized. We are organizing ourselves as township businesses and the township entrepreneurs to make sure that we tap into our economy, which is township economy.
And of course, Bheki, we're having this conversation on the back of the inaugural Township Economies Conference and Expo that I did cover during the week. And the theme of that conference was really creating growing entrepreneurs. Talk us through how we really start creating those growth entrepreneurs in the township markets that, as I said before, has largely remained misunderstood on not only how to communicate with that market, but how to transact with that market as well.
Yeah, the unfortunate part, township economy has been ignored. But unfortunately, you can't ignore an economy that contributes 6% of the total GDP.
That 2 out of 10 South Africans are employed there.
Yes, yeah. And also with about 550 townships in the country. It's a big economy. Now, that is why at the end of the day, we've pushed the whole idea of saying, let's get township businesses and township entrepreneurs to organize themselves so that they take those opportunities. That is now you see there's a lot of events that we're putting together, like the conference that we're talking about, but there's many that we're planning that are coming, but we just want to say big up to the Gauteng, government. They gave us TEDA, the Township Economic Development Act. Now we are saying, as the township businesses, I think we need to stand up and make sure that we take advantage of the Township Economic Development Act. Township Development Act is not for government. It's for us. It just gives us a conducive environment for us to do township economy. Now, what we needed to do now, we need to take township economy to other provinces as well, encourage other provinces as well to adopt the act so that the act, it becomes a national act so that we don't leave anyone behind. As the president always say, I think this year we must make sure that we don't leave anyone behind. Yes, we still have challenges in the township, economy, in the township space, but what we are happy about is that the media as well, they've just, gave us this platform, because without you guys giving us this platform, we won't be able to do what we need to do. But I'm happy government is on board, the media is on board. Now we're working on private sector also to come on board, to be part of us in the township.
And of course, Tata will have that conversation later on with some businesses that operate from the township and just talk through some of those obstacles that they do face, but also opportunities for growth. But just going back back to Gauteng being the one that's really leading the charge in growing the township economy. Thursday, Friday, we also saw an event that took place around raising or investments for township economies and growth in the various sectors within township economies across the country. And we did speak to the organizers of that investment conference. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
I think with the Soweto Investment Conference, it's a conference of investors and also the people that want investment. We've got a lot of tourism attractions in Soweto that are not at the standard that they are supposed to be. And we also have a lot of government infrastructure that is not at the level that at the best level. So we are looking for investors to come to the destination, which is Soweto, to improve, to invest in order to improve the destination. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that visitors, not only leisure visitors, but also sports tourism together with business tourism visitors can come to the destination and do different things according to the infrastructure that is there. So it's more infrastructure improvement, safety and security, and also just trade to make sure that there's export of goods and services that are produced in Soweto, and that will lead to employment, like job creation, will also improve the economy of Soweto, and the community will benefit.
Now, of course, Bheki, the Soweto Investment Conference, a lot to do with the Gauteng department being partners there to really drive investments in township economies, which is essential, really, to open up access to finance that will open up that access to markets for the businesses in those markets. Talk us through some of the strategies that your commission with other partners are working on to really drive investments into township economies, and not only through, the formalized markets such as retailers and so on, but really growing the businesses that operate there.
Yeah, one of the most important things that we are planning to have what we call the Township Economy Investment and Trade, Summit, which is coming in October. Because we need these trade shows as well. For example, is that what we then do, the challenges, when you talk about township economy, access to market, access to funding and all that. We've created those platforms. This is why I'll always really request the businesses in the township and the entrepreneurs in the township to stand up and look for people like us who've created this platform. We've got what we call the Township Economy Pavilion, where we then take township economy to events like your SATEX, your Africa Peak 7, your hotel and hospitality show. Those are events that we're using to make sure that township economy is no longer ignored. But what is important as well, is very important also now to create our own events that we're hosting them in the township so that we're able to reach as many entrepreneurs as possible. But what we are saying township businesses, let them, stand up. Platform have been created. We don't want people to talk about lack of access to this platform because we've created this platform. We're working very closely with government. We're working very closely with private sector now. We're working very closely with the media. Now, those platforms are there. It's up to an entrepreneur to stand up and look for the right people and knock to the right doors. We are saying we are here. We're saying we've opened up those doors. Come to us, talk to us. We've got what we call the TechVerse, the Township Economy Investment Holdings, which is TechVerse. We've got about close to 120 companies that are in TechVerse. We are now moving as a trend. So, because township or businesses, it's a lonely space out there. If you're doing this thing on your own, it's not easy. But if you're doing it as a group, it becomes easy.
You move a lot faster. And just talking about moving together to move a little faster, one of the platforms that's really been having serious conversations around the role township economies plays for economic growth is the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, we did meet at the Business Forum in Cape Town earlier this year, and there were conversations really with stakeholders across the continent speaking about revitalizing township economies, and South Africa being pointed out as being the ones who should be leading the charge of those township economies being able to scale and go into the rest of the continent. Talk us through some of the opportunities that lie within AFTA for, small businesses and even larger businesses in the township markets to be able to go into the rest of the continent.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, that's a very great question. Platforms have been created. We've attended the African Continental Free Trade Area, as you're saying. We've, positioned the township economy in a continental, activity or in a continental space. Now, people in the continent, now they know and understand that there is this thing that is called township economy. Now, it's up to us as businesses, to make sure that, we do what we need to do in terms of compliance, in terms of be ready to then start exporting your products and goods and services to the continent. But also we're looking at the BRICS that is coming now. We're talking about the township economy in BRICS, whereby we're saying, we're looking at all this bilateral, relationship as a country that we have, but we're then saying, let's zoom into the township economy space. What's happening there? That is why we're saying, we even say to the president, and also going with his slogan of leaving no one behind, we make sure that as township businesses, we're no longer left behind. We make sure that, in events like your Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we are there as township economy, and also in BRICS, activities, we're also there as township economy. These are opportunities apart from, but what is important, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to have, because we are saying, when we talk about township economy, let's talk about products that we, the products that we consume, we must make sure that we produce those products. Because we can't then consume, products that we don't produce. We need to start looking at producing the products that we consume as the township, and make sure that at the end of the day, we are also fund ready. Because people, they talk about funding only to fund. We are not even fund ready. We need to make sure that at the end of the day, the issue of the enterprise supply development, the issue of the skills, making sure that businesses in the township are ready. For example, is that the Township Economic Development Act, it talks about 40%, and then the new premium now top it up to 60%. But we are saying, if you were to supply government with your services and goods, are you ready? Are you in the CSD? Because you can't then say you want funding, but you've never even, put together a proposal. You've never even submitted a proposal to any, funding development institution. That is why we're saying it's very important and very critical for us as businesses in the township and entrepreneurs in the township to come together and make sure that we move as a clan. Let's really put this hatred aside, because there's a lot of hatred, in our space. Anybody that does something that is good, people, they don't. One of the things that is a big challenge, it's ignorance. We ignore things that are happening, and we then start complaining.
And of course, being funding ready actually really helps to drive even programs that government has put in place. We did see the new employment equity reports out of the Commission of Employment and Equity, and they were also kind of pointing out that if we did see more businesses that were funding ready, it would really help to drive that agenda forward much more faster. And Bheki, we are still in Youth Month. There's a lot that we've spoken about around the events, the associations and so on that are available for businesses operating from the township. But how do we get more young people more intentional about getting into entrepreneurship or starting a business, where it's not that story of, people in the township start businesses for survival, which had been the story the last 15, 20 years or so, but they are really intentional about starting a business that solves the community's problems, is able to be scaled to the rest of the continent and the rest of the world. What kind of mindset shift needs to be made to really get young people intentional about going into business?
Yeah, as Ted was, we've got young people that are in business. Some of them are here today. You'll see them later on. But we make sure that whatever that we do, we bring young people along. So that at the end of the day, we're able to show them, how things are done. Because we want to avoid this issue of young people knocking to the wrong doors. Now, as you know, township economy create jobs, create employment, and young people out there, they are vulnerable. We are saying, going to entrepreneurship it's also another option. But now, how do they go there if we don't, assist these young people, bring them along, whatever that we do, so that we are able to show them, this is the city in the it's also very important, us as, the fathers now, as the parents, to make sure that we hold our kids along, then we show them the way. We create space for them, we give them the direction, because they really need that brotherhood, fatherhood, whereby they will say, you know what, I'm here because of my father, my brother, my sister, my uncle. Because at the end of the day, some of us, unfortunately, our brothers never looked after us. But we want to cut that situation. We want to make sure that we look after the young people that are coming, behind.
And that generational curve.
Yes, exactly. That's very important, to make sure that we give young people a space. We're happy, with the June month now. We had a lot of events that young people are doing on their own without even getting any support from private sector, from government, but they're putting events to celebrate the Soweto uprising and the Youth Month, which we're very excited. But we've got big plans. As you know, we are now working on the 50th anniversary of the June 16 and 2026. We're saying, let's start now, because we can't start the anniversary, the 50th anniversary in 2025. We need to start it now so that we practice. By the time we get into 2026, we are ready, and then we're able to showcase young people that, we put them on the program. The internship programs,
yes.
Making sure that, young people, are able to get into those programs, make sure that we monitor, evaluate, but at the end of the day, we hold their hand and make sure that we show them the right way.
And Bheki, just to carry that conversation or that question forward, speaking about young people being vulnerable, I think it actually led my mind a little bit to a conversation that I had with Bheki, who's the founder of Manzine Enterprises. And she actually got her bags into the South African Investment Conference, which the delegates were getting. But she said something I had never really thought about when you think about the obstacles that small business owners actually face in South Africa, and one of them being the mental health challenges that they face, because their businesses are right there in the markets where it's, majority low-income households, rife unemployment, particularly for young people. Bheki was talking about a learnership that she was running, but I think it had space for less than 10 people. But she was overwhelmed by the number of young people that actually showed up for this learnership. And she said that actually took a toll on her, because it's like, even as a business owner, there's only so much that she can do. Talk us through how then it actually helps being part of associations and all of that, saying that road is lonely, being an entrepreneur, to be able to deal with those kind of challenges that are often not spoken about.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, as a business, you need to belong somewhere. You need to belong to the like-minded people. We're creating those space for, the hubs, entrepreneurship hubs. We've just launched one in Vosloorus on the 15th and the 16th. We also need to make sure that we as TechWest, we've got what we call the TechWest, School of Excellence, whereby we make sure that we do the mentorship, we do the coaching, we make sure that young people are attracted to this, activities. It's very important, it's very critical. But at the end of the day, remember, a young person is starting a business, he thinks of having billions and rand, he compare him or herself with Abu Maponya and all that. But at the end of the day, they don't understand the difficulties. I'm 35 years into the space. It's all about being passionate about what you're doing. Another thing that is very important, Sister Ozo, that I want us to talk about, that is very critical. This whole thing of young people diversifying. I'm saying it's okay to diversify, but young people, they need to start, being professional, but specializing. People, they need to specialize. Before you could diversify, specialize. So that at the end of the day, if you specialize, we know you as a person who's good in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you get your business out there, then you could start diversify. Another thing is that it's very critical as well, to sit down with young people, let them do the research, to say, if you want to do business, what business do you want to do? If you're saying you're creating jobs, let's define what is a job. People will just talk about job, but not even understanding what is the job. We need to start defining those things, but at the end of the day is young people, most especially in Soweto, they know exactly where to go. We are there, we are visible, and as a young person or as a person that wants to be in the entrepreneurial space, you need to be visible. You know, platforms are there. You know, you've got your social media platforms, we do these events, we've got, you know, WhatsApp groups, we've got LinkedIn. Do your research, get the right people. We are here to say, young people, if you really need to start business and run proper business, come and speak to us so that we show you the right direction. We hold your hand and show you the right, because we don't want you to knock to, you know, in the wrong doors.
But Bheki, we're almost out of time, but I think my last question is around the tourism sector also, that is really starting a lot of young guys seeing opportunities of bringing tourism back into the townships. One of the guys that we spoke to, Brian, saying Davidson, which is far-fetched for a lot of young people to get employment between Witbank and Johannesburg, but could be a good tourism spot because of its political heritage, you know, for tourists going between Johannesburg to Mpumalanga and so on. Soweto already kind of sets that, you know, in cement of building tourism. Talk us through a little bit the opportunities in the tourism sector, which of course is part of ensuring that we have diversified products and services out of the township. Yeah,
remember when you talk about township economy, you're talking about different economies and we're talking about different sectors. There are sectors that are rooted in the township. For example, the tourism, as we're talking about, we've got what you call the township tourism economy, whereby we're saying township tourism economy through the history, through the lifestyle, the trends, the food. You know, those are the things that makes township tourism be attractive. That is why at the end of the day, we're now talking about the township digital economy, the township e-commerce economy, all those economies. But you've got your traditional economies, like your township retail sector, but tourism is one of those economies that tops the agenda in terms of attracting investment in the township, because there's a lot of historic places where people they can, be exposed to that. That is why township tourism is one of our very important, sector within the township economy space.
But Bheki, thank you so much for that discussion with me this afternoon. That's where we leave it for now.